Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, or more known as El Mencho, is one of the most feared names in the history of crime in Mexico. He was born into a poor family in the state of Michoacan on the 17th of July 1966, and in 1980 he illegally entered the U.S. and was arrested there several times for various crimes. He was deported back to Mexico in 1990 and started in low-level illegal activities as part of the Milenio Cartel before fully entering the world of organized crime. For several decades, he gradually rose through the ranks of drug traffickers because of his strictness, violence, and skill in expanding operations. In the early part of the year 2000, his ambition to form his own group became clear. Bandang 2009, he founded the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, which quickly expanded and became one of the most powerful cartels in the country. Under his leadership, the cartel was involved in the widespread sale of all kinds of illegal drugs, including the illegal entry of migrants into the United States. Drugs are not the only source of income for the group. It is also involved in fuel theft, extortion, kidnapping, and online fraud. The cartel is also known for using heavy weapons, drones, and improvised explosive devices. In fact, in 2015, the group even shot down a military helicopter in Jalisco, an event that proves the level of strength and courage of the organization. Because of this, El Mencho became one of the most wanted criminals in Mexico and the United States. He has pending cases in the U.S., and a $15 million reward was offered for information leading to his arrest. The U.S. also considered his cartel a foreign terrorist organization. For many years, El Mencho hid while continuously managing his cartel. He used strict security, limited communication, and trusted people to avoid capture. But the authorities gradually built up intelligence against him. According to the Mexican military, the surveillance of him went through a long process of gathering information from various sources, including the help of United States intelligence agencies. On Wednesday, February 20, before the operation, the authorities obtained critical information about his location in a remote area of Jalisco, Mexico. A person close to his personal life was the key. According to Mexican authorities, the location of El Mencho was determined after obtaining information from a trusted acquaintance of his girlfriend. This woman was identified in a facility in Tapalpa, Jalisco, where her movements are continuously monitored. And on February 21, intelligence units reported that that woman left a property, and it was confirmed that El Mencho was left at the location. This is important because he usually does not stay in one place and always has a security detail with him. This information gave the go signal for the large-scale operation. From here, the plan to arrest him was approved. A ground operation was launched, led by the Mexican military along with special forces and air support. On the day of the operation, various military units of Mexico moved simultaneously. A ground operation was carried out, supported by air assets and special forces. The main objective was to arrest the cartel leader alive to avoid wider violence. Immediately, soldiers encountered armed resistance from cartel personnel waiting around the compound. According to the Secretary of Defense of Mexico, Ricardo Trevilla Trejo, the clash quickly escalated and became one of the most violent encounters in recent years. The cartel used high-caliber bullets to stop the military from approaching. In the encounter, El Mencho was killed along with 8 other cartel members. Many bullets and heavy weapons were also confiscated, including missile launchers capable of shooting down an airplane. After the encounter, a clearing operation was carried out around the area. The quantity and type of weapons obtained show how prepared the group is for a direct fight. The authorities also confirmed that there was intelligence support from the United States that helped in building the case and tracking the movements of the cartel leader. They were able to pinpoint its exact location. According to Mexican military officials, the assistance is at the level of information exchange, and there is no direct participation of American forces in the operation itself. At this point, the death is clear. The cartel leader is not just the result of a one-day operation, but the result of long preparation, intelligence work, and coordination. This was clarified by Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who said that the entire operation was carried out and led by Mexican authorities. Because of the possibility of wider retaliation, the government immediately ordered additional deployment. 2,500 additional troops were sent to Jalisco and neighboring states to strengthen security. Before the incident, There were thousands of security personnel assigned to the area, but this was further expanded to prevent the situation from worsening. In the following hours, checkpoints were established, patrols were intensified, and targeted operations against the remaining armed groups were initiated. But along with the supposed government control of the situation, deeper effects are also beginning to be seen. The anger of the remaining members. News of the death of the cartel leader quickly spread within the networks of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Within just a few hours, the series of revenge began, showing the extent of the group's influence in different parts of the country. Within just a few hours, his men retaliated by attacking airports and attacking in different places. Videos and photos of the chaos at Guadalajara Airport quickly spread on the internet. People panicked as loud gunfire echoed in the distance. The panic and fear on the faces of the tourists present were clearly visible, because according to the report, only a few members of the Jalisco cartel were around, and the airport police were firing shots. Smoke was also seen in other videos that began to enter the airport brought by tear gas and explosives thrown by the members. In a video, employees of the gas station and motorists, who could not express their fear, can also be seen when some members of the group suddenly arrived and pointed guns at the people there, and suddenly set the gas station on fire, causing it to explode. In the midst of violence, 25 members of the National Guard were on their way to incidents related to cartel retaliation. In many cities and provinces, armed men burned buses, trucks, and private vehicles to block major roads. The burning vehicles were used as a barrier to prevent the movement of the military and police. There were establishments and businesses that were burned, and in some areas there was an exchange of gunfire between suspected cartel members and security forces. Fear spread quickly through the communities. Many residents stayed inside their homes while the streets were empty. In some places, schools and offices were temporarily closed as a precaution. Public services were affected due to the barricades built on major roads. The impact of the unrest also reached the tourism sector in well-known destinations in Jalisco. Many tourists were advised to stay inside their hotels, including Americans. Some travelers were stranded after some airlines stopped their flights. The sudden halt of operations caused immediate losses to local businesses that rely on tourism. As the incidents continued, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum released a statement calling for calm and peace. He said that the government is acting to ensure the safety of the citizens and will gradually restore order. According to him, there is clear coordination between the government, armed forces, and security agencies. Along with this, the military intensified its presence in the affected areas, established more checkpoints, expanded patrols, and started focused operations against the remaining armed groups. According to officials, the goal is to prevent further retaliation and protect civilians. Despite the claimed return of order, it is clear to experts that this kind of violence usually occurs after the death of a powerful leader of violence. The first days are critical because this is where the remaining members try to show that the organization is still intact and capable of retaliation. At this point, deeper problems within the cartel also begin to be seen. There is no clear leader to replace, and there is a possibility of a power struggle with the emergence of different factions. This situation could lead to a new wave of violence, not only against the state, but also within the organization itself. Upon the loss of El Mencho, a large power vacuum was left within the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. For a long time, El Mencho was the center who decided on the operations, discipline, and direction of the group. Because of this, his sudden loss caused a lack of clear leadership. According to security analysts, there are several possible scenarios. First, relatives or long-trusted personnel may take over to continue the current structure. In this case, the operation of the cartel can possibly continue almost the same, but with temporary weakness while leadership is being fixed. Second, the group may break up due to power struggles between them. The regional commanders, if this happens, expect an increase in violence, not only against the state but also between the cartel factions themselves, as each group tries to control routes, territories, and profits. 3. There is also the possibility that rival cartels will interfere to take advantage of the weakness. In some places, there has long been tension between the Jalisco cartel and the Sinaloa cartel, but Sinaloa also has its own problems due to internal departures. In leadership, therefore, it is also not certain how strong its movements will be at present. On the part of the government, the position is clear that no moment should be wasted. Targeted operations against the remaining leaders and logistics network of the cartel continue, strengthening intelligence gathering, financial tracking, and the arrest of people with critical roles in the group's operations. The government aims to prevent the rapid rise of the cartel under the new leadership. According to the Mexican president, the security cabinet has sufficient coordination, and the presence of the military and police continues in sensitive areas to prevent a new wave of violence. Outside of Mexico, the United States is also monitoring the situation because of the extent of the cartel's operations in their territory. The two countries continue to exchange information to monitor the movement of drugs, weapons, and money that may indicate the reorganization of the group. At this point, it is clear that the death of a cartel boss is not automatically the end of the organization. It can cause temporary weakness, but it can also be the beginning of a more chaotic phase if the power struggle is not prevented. The coming weeks and months will tell if the Jalisco cartel will be completely dismantled. Will it weaken, or if a new leader will emerge to continue the violence? According to experts, the fall of a cartel leader does not immediately bring peace. Instead, it often opens a longer and more complicated stage of adjustment, testing, and possible renewed violence. On the part of the Mexican government, the operation is considered a great success. El Mencho has long been pursued, and his death is a symbol of the state's ability to strike at the highest levels of organized crime. According to officials, the government's goal now is to continue the pressure against the remaining leaders and network of the Jalisco Nuance Generation cartel so that it will not be able to rebuild solid leadership. Its effect on the relationship between Mexico and Israel is also important. United States for a long time, the U.S. is asking Mexico to show clear results in the fight against drugs and cartels. This operation, supported by the intelligence cooperation of the two countries, served as proof that coordination works. Analysts expect this level of information exchange to continue, especially in monitoring drugs, weapons, and money. However, security experts have a warning. If the state fails to completely weaken the remaining structures of the cartel, there is a possibility that a new leader will emerge, younger, more aggressive, and possibly more willing to use violence to prove his power. In this scenario, violence may return or worsen in areas that have temporarily become peaceful. This is the reason why the military and police continue to maintain a high level of vigilance in sensitive areas. For ordinary citizens, the most important question is whether they will feel it. They feel the change in their daily lives. But this is not the end of the fight. This is a reminder that the war against organized crime does not end with the fall of just one person, but with the continuous suppression of the systems that strengthen them. Currently, violence in Mexico is still shaking. According to the latest reports, many states have experienced serious incidents, while the remaining tentacles of El Mencho are fighting against the security forces. More than a dozen states have been affected by attacks and roadblocks, and thousands of residents remain trapped inside their homes due to fear of possible further violence. Many places, cities including Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta, have implemented alerts and shelter-in-place advisories for residents and tourists. Schools, public transportation, and flights in some of the affected regions are temporarily suspended due to security. The authorities are clearing roadblocks and establishing peace, but tension and fear remain high in the communities due to the possibility of renewed violence and potential power struggles among the remaining cartel leaders. If you like this video, please share it with others and subscribe.